Episode 5 of From turned out to be incredibly revealing. Some of our theories were finally confirmed, while others were completely destroyed. It's not the children's imagination that creates the monsters. It's fear itself. Nathan, Sarah's brother, was terrified of cicadas, and after his death, that fear literally came to life. The creepy dolls connected to Tabitha also seem to have been brought to life by someone's nightmares. And those strange wooden scarecrows? As it turns out, they were never protecting the settlement at all. They're actually weapons capable of killing any creature here, even the man in yellow. Spiders appear to act as guides, leading people toward the central mystery of this place. The souls of the Anghkooey children are trapped underground. And judging by everything we've seen so far, Marielle may be heading toward the same fate as Martin. Every house seems to have its own tunnel beneath it. Victor's drawings hinted at this long ago, and Jade's new discovery only confirms it further. But the Lake of Tears may be the most important piece of the entire story. Either it creates something truly horrifying, brings people's nightmares to life, or it has the power to grant wishes. For example, it could create talismans that protect people from the creatures at night, or even bring a gigantic guardian golem to life. But every wish comes with a price, and the cost of getting what you want may be terrifying. It could mean losing someone you love, or even sacrificing children in exchange for eternal life. My name is Evgeny, and today we're breaking down episode 5 of From, and trust me, this one is going to be interesting. Let's begin. So the first thing I want to talk about is Jade's journey. We always knew that sooner or later, the mushrooms would have some kind of effect. Victor's mother, Miranda, also began remembering this place while under the influence of drugs. Even when she wasn't physically inside Fromville, she was still painting visions of it and obsessing over the idea of saving the children. So the mushrooms were always meant to provide answers, or more accurately, put someone into a state where those answers become accessible. Jade's journey begins with a clue telling him where to go, followed by the appearance of spiders. And even though we understand that the spiders may not physically exist in front of him, that everything is happening inside Jade's mind, we already know the spiders themselves are absolutely real and deeply connected to the story. Boyd encountered them while completely sober. Victor drew them as well. And I seriously doubt that a little kid like Victor was running around eating mushrooms in the past. As Jade moves deeper into the forest, he suddenly sees himself as a child. He's 12 years old here, and honestly, who would be easier to trust than yourself? But then, the man with the missing eye appears once again, and for the first time, Jade finally accepts his gift and drinks the blood. There's also one very strange detail hidden in this scene. For just a single second, we can hear the sound of cicadas. But inside the blood, there are spiders, and by this point, we already know just how dangerous that is. Not just drinking blood, but what can end up inside your veins afterward. Boyd already went through something very similar, and if you still think none of this is physically real, then remember what happened to Kenny. He was burned in a dream, and those injuries appeared in real life. What seems to be happening only inside Jade's mind is just as real as Kenny's dream, which means there's a very good chance that spiders are now living inside Jade's body. And that's exactly why we hear the cicadas, as a direct warning of what comes next. Then we see the quartet of violin players. I already talked about these reincarnations in my previous breakdown and why I'm convinced they were not killed by the monsters. I definitely recommend watching that video because I'm not going to repeat all of those details here. But the most important part is what we hear from the child version of Jade. These are not the only reincarnations. There were many others before them, and every single one of them died at the hands of other people. And honestly, that detail made me incredibly happy, because now I'm almost completely certain that the dates in the bottle tree mark the end of each cycle. But because the show only revealed 4 reincarnations, while there are 9 dates on the bottle tree, I still had doubts. Now though, it seems obvious that we simply haven't been shown every version of Jade yet, and about who killed them. Remember how Miranda was hiding Eloise and Victor from Christopher? She was terrified of him. On top of that, Victor never found Christopher's body. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I believe his corpse was hidden away, inside the secret room in the cellar. the same place where Elgin was holding Fatima. Right now, I'm leaning toward the idea that Miranda herself killed Christopher. And if that's true, then maybe in this cycle, Tabitha will end up killing Jade. That could become the turning point that restarts everything all over again, leading to almost every resident of Fromville being slaughtered once more. But there's another important detail. The child version of Jade says that Tabitha's fate is even worse, and I think that's because her soul may eventually be forced to obey the entity behind this place. She helps give birth to Smiley. She dances for Boyd. But Jade's fate may not be much better. As time goes on, people will eventually figure out who he really is. First, they'll fear him, then they'll hate him, and in the end, they'll probably want him dead, just like small fish trapped in a shark net with nowhere left to escape. But why does Jade only see 4 of his previous incarnations? I think it depends on how far he managed to get during the previous cycle. And this time, Jade made it all the way to the hidden door inside Colony House. Honestly, during this scene, I was expecting Acosta to appear. Remember, Boyd specifically told her to search for clues, something he might have missed. And when she wasn't in the basement, I honestly thought one of 2 things was happening. Either it was another illusion, or Acosta had finally decided to end her own life. But getting back to the hidden entrance, what's strange is that nobody found this door for such a long time, especially considering Boyd told Acosta that he had already searched that room before. Someone clearly didn't want that passage to be discovered. Someone is watching Colony House. Someone is creating the rules in this place, and everybody obeys them, even though blocking a hidden door by simply piling random junk in front of it is honestly a pretty lazy cover-up. But the thing that shocked me the most was where the passage actually leads, straight into the underground dungeon. And in Victor's drawings, we already saw that the houses in Fromville are connected. Beneath them, he didn't just draw tunnels. He also drew some kind of dark energy flowing underneath the town. Fatima also discovered a hatch in the cellar leading down into the underground tunnels, which means there's a good chance that every building has its own hidden entrance. Maybe beneath Tabitha's house, beneath Boyd's post office, and most likely beneath the church as well. And when Jade enters the tunnel, we encounter the spiders once again. That makes me think they serve as some kind of catalyst. Their purpose may be to stop people from getting closer to the truth. Boyd already tried searching for answers once before, and he was stopped by spiders. Very real spiders, and a very unreal Abby. The storms, the endless loop, the creatures that come out at night, everything in this place seems designed to prevent anyone from uncovering the truth. And the spiders may be part of that entire system. Or maybe it's the exact opposite. Maybe, just like Hagrid once said, if someone truly wants to find the answers, they need to follow the spiders.
If anybody was looking for some stuff, then all they'd have to do would be to follow the spiders.
Either way, Jade eventually arrives at that exact place, the site with the 7 stones, where the children were once sacrificed. For a long time now, we've understood that you can't free something that's already physically dead, which means this was never about the children's bodies. It's about their souls, and inside that pit, you can actually see the remains of children's bones, which can only mean one thing. Those poor kids were thrown into the hole, and then sealed beneath a massive ritual stone. That's why the souls of the children remain trapped. They were imprisoned beneath that enormous boulder, just like Jade himself becomes trapped during his journey. Thankfully, this time it's only a dream, even though in this place, dreams can be just as real as reality itself. And honestly, I really liked the way the writers handled this storyline. I definitely didn't want to see Jade captured by the monsters, only for half the season to turn into another rescue mission. The mushrooms, the spiders, the dreamlike visions, and a still living Jade. That's exactly the direction I hoped the story would take, and thankfully, that's exactly what we got. But honestly, it would have been even better if the show had actually shown us Jade's eyes while he was sleeping and traveling through these visions. Just one short scene where Boyd runs over to him and sees Jade delirious, with cloudy, faded eyes, just like the Civil War soldier, just like the poor man crushed beneath the boulder. That would have instantly explained why some of the reincarnated versions have those blurred out pupils. The second chapter of this breakdown is Tabitha's journey. At last, she finally travels to the village, because by now we already know that Tabitha once lived there in the past, back when she herself was still a child. And honestly, I was expecting a whole new wave of memories to return to her. At the beginning of the journey, the group finds an injured bird with a broken wing. And honestly, that's a completely natural reaction from a child, wanting to save a helpless little creature. But I'm still fascinated by those soft little dolls. In my previous breakdown, I said that these dolls were probably cloth toys Tabitha played with as a child, and that somehow her imagination brought them to life. But now it turns out the truth is much more complicated. Tabitha remembers that there was a man who suffered from terrible nightmares. He was terrified of those dolls, so he threw them into the lake. But after his death, the dolls suddenly came to life. And honestly, I still don't fully understand how this works. Because if every human fear could become real, then considering how many people have lived and died in Fromville over the years, there should literally be hundreds, maybe even thousands, of different horrors running around this place. Every person is afraid of something. At that point, the show could introduce absolutely anything. Dr. Mabuse, a xenomorph, Freddy Krueger, or something even worse. But instead, we keep seeing the same things over and over again. The dolls, the spiders, the cicadas, and the creatures that come out at night. Most likely, for a fear to become real, the person has to be killed by someone who loves them, not by a monster. Here's an example. Nathan was terrified of cicadas, and he was killed by his own sister, someone who truly loved him. That may be why his nightmare survived after death. Maybe Abby was afraid of spiders, and Boyd was the one who killed her. Once again, it was a loved one. What if that's the actual rule behind all of this? But even that theory still doesn't explain one important thing. Victor was already seeing spiders as a child, long before Abby ever arrived in Fromville, and we still don't know exactly how the man who feared the dolls actually died. Still, it seems like human fears can materialize regardless of time itself. Once a nightmare is born in this place, it continues to exist. There's also another extremely important detail: the death of one of the stuffed dolls. Tabitha was actually able to kill one of them using the protective scarecrow weapon. And the most important part is what she says afterward. She suddenly remembers what the dolls are afraid of, which means that in the past, back when Tabitha was still a child, the people here may have already managed to kill all 3 dolls before throwing them into the bottom of the lake. And the key element in this entire story is the weapon itself. In the past, instead of using talismans to hide from the night creatures, people use those scarecrow-like figures as weapons. And yes, they absolutely resemble protective wards or charms. You can't really argue with that. What if the people in the past chose not to hide, but to fight? This place gives people what they ask for. Boyd chose to hide, and he found the talismans. But the people from the past chose war, so this place gave them weapons instead. Something ancient, something that existed on Earth long before humanity itself, some kind of godlike force. The source, the Lake of Tears, seems capable of materializing human desire. But now that source has been poisoned by the blood of the Anghkooey children. They were raised in darkness, they were sacrificed, their blood was collected, part of it was consumed, and the rest was poured directly into the source itself. And from that ritual, the entity was born, the very thing that created Fromville. The hopes of the children, the ritual, human blood, all of it plays a massive role in the story. Fatima drank blood, Martin passed the worms into Boyd through blood, Jade drank blood from a skull. All of these moments feel like pieces of the same ritual. A ritual that traps not only the living people inside this place, but even the souls of the dead. That's why Fromville is filled with so much horror. But I don't think it was always like this. Everything changed when the first church servant arrived in the settlement, the man in yellow. Back in 1506, he convinced the people to turn toward evil. And honestly, for the current residents, it's almost impossible to focus on hope or goodness anymore. Every single day, something is trying to kill them. Every night they're trapped in fear, unable to sleep, while monsters wait outside their windows. And in that kind of mental state, it's hard to imagine anything good being brought to life. But there are still people who are tired of being afraid. People who finally decided to fight. Fatima. She decided to create a golem, something powerful enough to protect people. And honestly, I think we may have already seen hints of something similar in previous cycles. In Miranda's drawings, there's a strange black silhouette, and that thing is clearly not human, which makes me think that a stone golem would not become a creature of evil. It would stand on the side of the residents. And honestly, I would absolutely love to see a gigantic stone guardian smashing everything around it and going to war against the monsters. That is something I'd pay to watch. The third chapter of this breakdown is Marielle's journey, and once again, we're seeing the same pattern repeat itself. Marielle becomes chained down, shackles, chains. Most likely she's being prepared to take Martin's place. And as we remember, Martin eventually passed the thing living inside him into Boyd. He fulfilled his role, and now it looks like the exact same fate is waiting for Marielle. And when we see those chains, we hear the screams again. And once again, numbers appear on the radio display, 1609, 1752. And as we already know, those exact dates are written inside the lighthouse. I'm going to be honest here. The moment I heard the screams, I instantly knew the radio was about to show another set of numbers. At this point, it's becoming so predictable that it's honestly starting to disappoint me a little. The writers really need to introduce something new instead of repeating the same idea over and over again. I was also disappointed by the page from the book The Great Journey of Ghoulie Gog. That page basically contains everything. The mushrooms Jade ate, the bird Ethan found, the butterflies, the infinity symbol, and even Fred, who's dressed exactly like one of the night creatures. But the one thing that definitely did not disappoint me was the man in yellow. That old man is still a true gourmet. He doesn't just eat whatever he finds. And honestly, if you carefully examine the bodies of the victims, you'll notice that they're missing more than just their livers. Sometimes the hearts are gone too. Sometimes the lungs, other organs as well. And that detail matters. The monsters kill people. And afterward, the man in yellow arrives to consume their organs. That's their partnership. For now though, I'm not going too deep into theories about this entity. I'm saving that discussion for the end of the season. And yes, I noticed that the stuffed doll had half of its face burned off. Poor thing. There are also a lot of smaller details worth paying attention to. The people in the settlement are starting to turn against each other. One of the dolls is missing an eye. For the first time, the bird we see isn't a crow. The two oars, the painting showing the movement of the moon, and plenty of other tiny clues scattered throughout the episode. But for now, I still don't have exact answers about what all of this truly means, or why it's happening. So if you notice something important that I missed, make sure to share your theories and discoveries down in the comments. Have you ever wondered what's really hidden behind the scenes of your favorite films? We are a content research lab, and our mission is to find answers where others see only end credits. On our channel, you'll find deep dives into the most intriguing cinematic universes. And one of our main focuses is a complete breakdown of the lore of Alien, the mystery of the engineers, and the origin of the xenomorph. We piece together, bit by bit, the story behind the most perfect organism in the universe. Who is truly behind this biological weapon? What secrets from Prometheus were left untold? We analyze every stage of its evolution, from the black goo to the queen, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. We dig into the archives of the most dangerous company in cinema. What is the real purpose of their special order? And what price does humanity pay for their ambition? But that's not all. In our archives, you'll also find The Dark Secret of the Ninth Gate, a detail audiences missed for 25 years, the true face of Jumanji. Where did the cursed game really come from, and what is its primal logic? The real past of Hancock. Who is he? A hero, a god, or something else? We break down the hidden motives and the details of the cancelled sequel. On this channel, we value cinematic aesthetics and accuracy in every detail. If you enjoy high-quality breakdowns, theories, and visual storytelling that keeps you hooked, you're in the right place. Join our community, subscribe, and let's explore the depths of cinema together.